Today I want to share how you can print and self-publish your writing work, whether it be a novel or a short story or even an illustrated picture book, all of that. So I'm Rebecca. I'm a homeschool mom of 2 kids, ages 12 and 9. My 12-year-old came to me and said that she wanted to publish a book and have it printed hardbound in her hands. We were looking away from an ebook and more into like a hard copy book. And so I did some research on various options. I looked at so many different options and I finally settled on using BLURB. BLURB provides a software program called Book Wright that you are able to input your RTF, which is rich text format text, into their software. The software is free to download and there is a pretty steep learning curve. And so I wanted to share in this video some of the tips that we learned in this, and then to also just share what the experience was like for my homeschool daughter to receive a hard copy printed book in her hand of her work.
So here is the BLURB website, and you can see right underneath of make a book, it says build it with Book Wright. And that is the software that BLURB uses in order for you to actually write your book and get it into the correct formatting. So if we click here on make a book, you can then see all the options that BLURB offers: photo books, wall art, trade books, magazines, notebooks, ebooks, templates, etc. We were interested in a trade book, which is like a nonfiction or fiction type book. So when you choose trade book, it then shares the options so you know what you're getting into. There are 3 different sizes. You just get a ruler and measure it out. There are also different printing options of color and black and white. And then there's different cover types: a soft cover, image wrap, or a dust jacket. So you click on get started and it lets you know, hey, you've got to download our software, Book Wright. So once you are done downloading Book Wright, you can then launch the software. This is where you'll see all of the different projects that you do, etc. So if you click on your books, it will allow you to create it. You can do a quick design where it does all the formatting for you, or you can choose Pro Design. We were very specific about what we wanted, so we chose Pro Design. Obviously, we're still interested in a trade book instead of photo books. And this is really where the rubber meets the road, in that you've got to know what size you want and what printing options you want. There are a lot of different paper options. You can have standard color or economy color of a nice 70-pound paper, or you could do black and white with a 50-pound paper. And then you also choose your cover. So there are so many different prices, but it basically goes from about $4 for your cheapest version all the way up to $21 for your most expensive version. So once you make your choice, you can then go in, type in your project title, and you can actually browse your computer if you have a rich text file available, or what you'll need to do is go in and select the file that you want. So you can see that there is a place up here to click on a computer with a plus sign, and that's where you add your rich text files, and then you just click and drag it in. You can see once you upload it, you then get to decide what you want your layout to be. And it'll actually show you, see the exclamation mark? That is letting you know, hey, there's an issue. Whether it's your font or you've gone outside of the limits of what can be printed for that size. Once you have your upload done, you can then click in, and that's how you edit the text. So you can't edit the text when you're looking at the formatting of the book. You can only double click and then go in and see all of your text. I found this to be challenging. It is definitely part of the steep learning curve that I mentioned earlier, but once you get used to it, it works. So this is where you can kind of determine, once you go into the editing, how you want your words to be aligned, your spacing. Do you want bold text? What font do you want? Do you want it indented? And so this is the place where you determine what the text will look like. And just note, there are a lot of different font choices. And then after adding in your text, you can add in photos as well. So you just go into your files and find the photo that you want, and then you just click and drag it in. And it is pretty good about letting you know, hey, you're in a section that doesn't get printed, and so you need to move it. And you can easily delete things. There's just a trash can on the formatting editing section. But again, remember that in your text editing area, you're not going to see the formatting or the photos. You only see the text that you're going to edit. So you can see as you go into your photo that this is in the pink area, which is not printable. And so you can click and drag. It's really easy to move things around. You can click and drag to different pages. You can see over on the left, it shows you all the different pages. It's got 1, 3, 5, 7, etc. Here, you can click on the text icon and add in text, and you can do different shapes and sizes and all of your different formatting that you want. The moment you go into type, it will go into that text editing box. But then you can see what it will look like on the page, and will let you know if there's any errors or you're outside of a specific printing area with that little exclamation mark triangle warning symbol. It shows you the pink borders to know that there is a print safe area, and then there is an area that is not going to get printed if you leave it in there. And so it lets you know here's the trim line, and it helps you to really know what to expect when you submit it. You can also zoom in up at the top. You can add ruler guides just so that you can see the text better, but just realize you only see parts of the page when you zoom in. There is an option at the end where you can reevaluate the different covers you can do. And then once you are done with your text, you can go over and click on Export PDF Proof, and that will let you know what it is that your project will look like. Once you've done that, you can go back to your project, and if you're ready, if you're completely done, you would choose Upload Your Project. So here's where things get difficult from what I can tell. Once you upload your project, it becomes a file that is not editable. And so you've got to be really sure that you are ready to have it printed. It is an uneditable PDF format once you submit your project. The main thing to note here is that in this book that got printed, we neglected to type in actual page numbers at the bottom of each page. I was thinking that it would just automatically put the page numbers in since you're printing out a book, but it does not. And it doesn't have an option for you to say add page numbers. So our book came with no page numbers. The thing that's really neat about these books is that they get an ISBN number added to every project. And so it just looks really professional and like a real book. So once your project is submitted, you then will order the amount of copies that you want. The more copies you get, the lower the per book price goes. You do have to pay shipping, but I did find that your first order, you got something like 35% off, and so that made it a really great deal. And then they will send you emails if you sign up for them that kind of offer discounts randomly throughout the year. And so I have found that unless you're in a really big hurry with wanting to get something printed, you can find deals. It still is expensive for someone who is trying to publish books and get them sold. But for us, we just wanted it kind of for a project and for family members and to go through the experience. And so for a one-time thing, it wasn't a big ask. We also found that it took less than 2 weeks to get the project printed and shipped to us. So it's very reasonable, in my opinion, and quick in getting it printed and published. All in all, with some of the learning curve issues with the software and the fact that you can't go in and edit projects once they're submitted, I still would recommend BLURB and Book Wright for anyone who is wanting to self-publish a book and actually have it in hand. Thanks so much for watching. I would love to hear what you have experienced or ideas or resources that you know of as far as getting a book published. Until next time. We
originally had done an Illustory book, and we actually have tried it again and had a terrible experience where my youngest submitted a book to Illustory in January, and it is now 4.5 months later, and we're really steering clear of Illustory at this point.